Hi, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. Today, we are going to have an exciting panel discussion. We have a stellar panel aligned and discussing here on the topic leveraging management education for healthcare professionals. So, we are going to discuss about medicos in management today. First of all, I would like to thank IIM Kozhikode Alumni Association for giving us an opportunity to bring such an important topic for a panel discussion, and we are all happy and excited to discuss this today here. On top of that, we are even more excited that we just IMK celebrated yesterday our 25th Foundation Day, and this year is our official 25th anniversary. And yesterday, the Professor Debashish Chatterjee and the other ex-directors inaugurated the event. And this is formally the first event after the inauguration day. So we are all excited about the globalizing Indian thought that we are pursuing here. So thank you so much. So coming to the topic, medicos in management. You must all have like heard a lot of doctors taking MBA. It's not something uncommon or something which is very strange these days, right? But there are a lot of uncertainties. There are a lot of challenges, a lot of concerns that the medicos have, and also like a lot of people are they wanted to know what is happening more in the management school. They also wanted to know what is the career path which is out there for them, right? So we are here to discuss all this here. So right now, today, how we have kind of aligned our discussion is, we are having a panel which is all into doctors and MBAs, and we are going to discuss this. So let me introduce you to our panel. The five of us are from IIM Kozhikode, four of us IIM Kozhikode alumni. One is currently a PGP student from IIM Kozhikode, and one is an alumnus of ISB. So to introduce the panel, first I will introduce you to Dr. Shweta Marwa. Shweta is an IIM Kozhikode 2008 pass out. She's a healthcare management strategy professional, currently working in UK as mentor of consulting staff in 4 Eyes Insights. She has her expertise in healthcare operational excellence, healthcare strategy, advising private and public healthcare companies, and she also have a global experience working with the companies in Europe, US, and India. And she is an MBBS pass out from DY Patel Medical College in the year 2004. Then she pursued her MBA 2006 to 8 in IIM Kozhikode. Through her campus placements, she got into Accenture Consulting, where she spent next 8 years consulting, healthcare consulting, and advising companies all around the globe. And now, in 2015, she became a Shaving Fellowship, which is the University of Oxford, given like a leadership fellowship. And now she's amongst us to discuss in detail about her experience and her advices for us. So thank you, Shweta, for joining us.
Thank you, Arjun. Pleasure to be here.
Yeah.
Lovely to hear your voice and see you.
So great here, same here. Thank you. Now I'll introduce to the next person in the panel. I'm really fortunate and like I'm really happy to introduce the guest from the ISB alumnus. Uh, so this is Nikhil is really a rare breed in this panel because Nikhil is a doctor, and he's doctor from none other than the Premium Institute, AIMS New Delhi. Was passed out in 2007. Currently, Nikhil is an ISB 2012 alumnus, and now he is the co-founder and CEO of Zolo. And to say more about Nikhil, Zolo is India's largest co-living platform, which provides accommodation to more than 50,000 residents across India. And they have 500 plus co-living spaces now, and they're spread across 10 cities. There's a lot more to say about Zolo, which I will bring into during our interaction. After passing out from the Premium Institute and his ISB education, Nikhil started working in Deloitte Consulting for a year in healthcare consulting. Then he moved into Cerner Corporation, which is into medical IT sales and the healthcare EMR solutions. Then Nikhil got the startup bug biting him, and he started Zolo in 2015. And now It's really a great journey of Zolo, because even in this COVID situation, last month they raised almost 56 million Series C funding USD. So that's a very encouraging story during the times of COVID, which we have to hear. So a lot more we'll listen to Nikhil about his startup journey, experience, and being a CEO of a non-healthcare founder company, right? Yeah. So welcome, Nikhil. Nikhil, you're muted.
It's a pleasure to be here, although the odd one out, but indeed a pleasure to be here.
But we are so happy to have you.
I am too. That's why I said, let me be the odd one out.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, now let me introduce the next panelist. We have Dr. Purav Gandhi, the class of 2010 IMK alumnus. Then the interesting thing about Purav is the next founder in the panel. Like, he is currently the CEO and founder of Remedy Social. He is more of a healthcare tech guy. Like, you might be wondering, like, does doctors have any role in coding or analytics? So all those things, doubts, we can get it cleared from Purav. Currently, Purav is running an Ahmedabad-based machine learning company, which is a healthcare platform, and they work a lot upon clinically validating algorithms for healthcare screening, diagnosis, and monitoring. Purav is an MBBS pass out from Gujarat University, 2008. Then straight after, he pursued his MBA from IIM Kozhikode, so he's a fresher in IMK. Then he did 4 years of consulting healthcare in Deloitte, and the next 4 years, Purav worked also in Deloitte, but in the analytics arm Converge Health. He was a founding member of the company there. And Purav is like 2015 onwards. Purav, again, like Nikhil, also started the startup bug, and he went into investing startup companies and founding his own company. So we will discuss all this with Purav today. Yeah. So thanks, Purav, for
Thanks,
joining.
Arjun. Thank
Yeah.
you, Arjun. Looking forward to the discussion.
Yes. Thank you. Now I'll just introduce you to our the youngest member and the most energetic person of the panel, Dr. Shreya Agarwal. So the most exciting thing about Shreya is we have from in our discussion today, we try to like discuss everything about from MBBS to MBA, what happens in an MBA, what post an MBA, all this. So Shreya is the current ongoing MBA batch student from IIM Kozhikode. So she is the perfect person to help us with understanding why an MBA after MBBS, how to clear CAT for a doctor, being a doctor, all these concerns. So Shreya is an MBBS graduate from Grand Medical College, Mumbai, and she worked after completing her internship. She joined IIM Kozhikode for her MBA. So welcome, Shreya. Excited to have you here.
Yeah, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah. Thank you, Shreya. Now I'll introduce Dr. Kuldeep, the fifth panelist. Kuldeep is the 2019 IIMK alumnus. Kuldeep is currently working as a healthcare strategy consultant with Cognizant Business Consulting in Bangalore. So Kuldeep's experience and expertise is into healthcare consulting, hospitals, device companies, and pharma companies. Now, I mean, there is always a like worry or concern among students, medical students especially, like how to go about the placements. Where do you get placed? What kind of companies do you get? How is the job like? So Kuldeep is the perfect person who can help us to understand about the placement process. How do you prepare for the various verticals, companies, etc. So we have Kuldeep amongst us. Kuldeep is a BDS graduate from Government Dental College, Amritsar. He finished in 2000, I think 16. Yeah, then in 3 years, Kuldeep worked as a dental surgeon in Chandigarh, and now he is amongst us. Hi, Kuldeep.
Hi, Arjun. Glad to be here. Glad to be part of this conversation. Thank you.
Thank you. So then finally, I'll just introduce them like me. I will be moderating the session today. So myself, I am Arjun. I did my graduation MBBS from Government Medical College, Kozhikode. So I was passed out in 2011. Then I worked for public health with the government implementing a project for a year, NCD project. Then again, I went for my graduation, post-graduation IIM Kozhikode. After my IIM Kozhikode education, I got into placement in Cipla, 2 years with Cipla, and 3 years with another pharma company, Biocon. After that, I joined Daily Rounds, which is India's largest healthcare edtech company, and I'm leading a vertical there. So we have it's more than like one of the few students, medical students, are part of our platform. We have more than 5 lakh students using our platform to prepare for exams. Yeah, so with all that, we have the panel ready and excitement on. So yeah, I think now um, we are just to help you all out, So how I want to pace out this discussion is because we are trying to overarch and understand a lot of domains here about. So I tried to divide this into two sections, section one and section two. The section one is more about everything in an MBBS and MBA, and section two is about an FAQ session, where we take the question from the audience, right? We are expecting that a lot of students and MBBS students might be there, and MBBS, MBA current ongoing students will be there, and people who already passed out will be there. So we will be more than happy to answer the questions there. Now, coming to the section one, I've divided that into 5 milestones, considering, there is a different phases of your career that you have to go through when you are transforming from an MBBS graduate to an MBA graduate and further on. So the first milestone is about, transitioning from the MBA to MBBS. So especially we'll be dealing with the why and MBA part here. Second milestone will be more about the life of an MBA MBBS doctor, right? More like the MBA life, where the college life, where the challenges, face, opportunities, and experience that they'll have in MBA education. The third milestone, of course, the most important part when you go to an MBA college is a placements, right? So we will give a special emphasis to placements, the preparations, the companies, and various vertical domains that an doctor MBA can actually focus on. And the next is more about the domain, your experience or expertise which you garner over the years. So wherever you're getting placed, so how is it? So our panel, who are experienced people, will share their experience. How did they excel in their career? How did they grow? All this. And the last part is more about milestone 5, which is about how we have to be future ready. Now the COVID has taught us a lot, like, because healthcare is something which is always there in upfront, right? And the tech is something which is also being like very upfront nowadays, right? So how the healthcare tech plays a lot of role in to be future ready. So all these discussions we'll be having in our milestone 5, especially considering a long-term strategy for a MBBS doctor. MBBS MBA doctor. Yeah. So with that, I have introduced how we are going about the session. So let me start with the questions. So first, the panel is ready, right? Yeah, cool. So first question is coming to Dr. Shweta. Hi, Shweta. So one of the common questions that any MBBS doctor will fall like face, even during their interview for IIM or everything, like, why an MBA? Is it the right choice for me? So can you throw some light on this? What was your thought process? You are muted, like, Shweta. Hi, you are muted. Yeah,
Sorry, can you
yeah,
hear
sure.
me now?
Yeah.
Yeah, all right. So I was saying this is something that I guess everybody on the panel will have their own reasons, and they will tell you what they've experienced. But one of the things is, in my case, I wanted to have an impact on healthcare at a systemic level. So it's great to sort of see your patients. It's fantastic. You're handling them. It's at a young age you have a lot of responsibility. But one of the things that I would like to do, I had always wanted to do, was make some changes to healthcare, and I'm sure other folks on the panel may talk about that. But one of the driving forces for me at that point was this. And yes, it's a very common question. I used to get emails from other graduates who were interested, and I actually had a set reply for everyone at that point. But everyone is going to have their own journey. You will have your own reasons. I'm sure out of all panelists here, everyone will have their own perspective. But one thing I will say is that the MBA is not as uncommon as it used to be for doctors. Given that it's a US phenomena, in the US, most mid-career doctors do an MBA anyway, because it helps them progress in their organizations, clinical or non-clinical. So it's a fairly logical step when you grow up an organization in the US, and gradually across the world. When we go through our conversation, we'll see so many opportunities open up with an MBA, even for a doctor. Arjun, you're on mute, I think.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, thanks, Shweta. Great. So I'll now move to the person who would have answered this very recently. I think I'll go to Shreya. Hi, Shreya.
Yeah,
Yeah.
hi
So
Arjun.
yeah.
So my answer would be eventually, although I liked studying medicine and also both my parents are doctors, so I got into it. But eventually I thought, I mean, it wasn't for me, I felt. Like in second and third year, I was more involved in extracurriculars and I was more into, coordinating things or maybe having decorations, things and all. So basically, I started searching for careers that I can have post MBBS and so MBA came out to be something about it. So I basically think that if you want to go for MBA, you have to look at something, some traits in you, which will be very beneficial if you go for MBA. Because just don't go for MBA if you don't like MBBS or maybe don't like the practice and all. Go for just find out that what MBA, I mean, managers actually do, and if you actually like it, then go for it. So yeah.
Very, 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 very well put, Shreya. Yeah, nice. So, Kuldeep, the question to you will be a little in depth of what we just discussed. Did you face any serious challenge during this decision-making process? Because I understand that you were working as a doctor for 3 years, so quite some experience there. So, how did you convince yourself, your parents, and the other support system around you to be convinced that okay, I am going ahead with an MBA?
Yeah, sure, Arjun. So to put it in few words, so for my experience was more or less driven by my clinical experience itself. So for me, it was important to understand why some doctors are able to make their clinic grow faster, and why some doctors are limited to only a single clinic, and some people are able to make their clinic into a hospital. So I wanted to learn how they grow. So that's why I joined, like after working as a dental surgeon for 2 years in Chandigarh, I joined IV Hospital, and I worked there as a marketing executive to understand the architecture of business there. So during that phase, I interacted with a lot of doctors around our city, and I understood that it is not only the clinical understanding that will help you grow, but the business understanding as well. So I believe during that particular time, I inclined, and there was a shift in my perspective to learn more about the business aspect. So that's why I got into MBA. And there was so to answer the question, as you said that did you face any challenge? So no, I believe this was not a sudden change in my perspective. It took time. So it was not a challenge, or it I did not face any difficulty in convincing myself or my parents. So it was a slow shift that was there.
Okay.
Yes.
So I understand that you tested yourself for a year in management kind of work, and then you decided you. Great, great.
Yes.
Yeah.
True.
Now the same question, if I asked Rhea, so were you having any serious challenge for this, or like it was more straightforward?
So when I actually thought of doing an MBA, the main challenge was will I regret it after doing it? I mean, that is one thing because I cannot go back to doing PG, go for medical after doing an MBA. So that is one thing which actually took a lot of time for me to decide. So I reached out to as many people as I could, and basically resistance. So my parents actually put a little resistance, but eventually when they saw that I'm very firm about my decision and this is what I actually want to do, they were quite supportive about it.
Great,
So
great,
yeah.
great. So thanks, Shreya. So the next question, I'm moving on. Like, So once you have decided, then comes the doubt whether a CAT or a GMAT, right? So especially when you are out of like quant education or max and all, because and you have cracked some of the toughest exam in medical exams, and you have completed your medical for the last 5 6 years. So is clearing CAT or GMAT a big hurdle? How should the preparation process be? So Dr. Nikhil, I would like to ask you, maybe could you give some insights on the GMAT part of it?
Sure. I mean, I can give a cat
Yeah,
also.
yeah,
I had
yeah.
given that.
Okay, so good. Go ahead.
So it's technically the same thesis. Uh, so I think first of all, I would like to put to rest or give comfort on the fact that the math of the quant is not at all complicated. It can be tough as an exam because we got to do a lot of stuff in a very little time. But the formulas are not any compli. I mean, I don't think even there was even once a differential statement in CAT. Forget about more complicated stuff from there. I mean, differential integral we anyway study in physics, 11th and 12th. So quant of CAT and GMAT is basic mathematics than really a complicated stuff. So I like to just put that bit in rest that no engineer has an edge over a doctor
Yeah,
just because उसने 12th में maths किया. So that's something that I fundamentally don't believe in. And then if you became a doctor, then you
yeah,
must have gotten some decent marks in physics and chemistry. Otherwise, you wouldn't have become a doctor because the
yeah.
medicine seats are very few. So whatever you did to finish to become a doctor is more than enough as a background requirement for CAT or GMAT.
Sure.
Then comes the preparation part. In preparation, I think one bit where I personally struggled a lot was English because I hail from a very small town in Punjab, from where I mean I directly went to Delhi. Um, I I couldn't stitch a single sentence together when I reached Ames. I mean I used to be like, dude, what do I do now? We used to we used to even ask questions in Punjabi in 11th and 12th. माड़ा मोटवा पट्टिया गया and all that stuff. So
Yeah,
it was uh, quite difficult for me, or it was a journey to sort of get a grip on English. Uh, and mathematics was not as big a challenge, and logical ability is logical ability. I think that just needs practice. It's not a complicated bit, but needs practice, and I mean that's required everywhere. So enough material is available online if somebody is dedicated.
sure.
Like with me, that I didn't take any coaching or any sort. There's enough and more. Just go to piratesbay.com. I mean, I didn't say that. Just type
Sure.
Viva material. There is enough and more material out there to sort of read, study, pace yourself, and amount of preparation time. Keep minimum 3 to 6 months for CAT with an average time window of 4 to 5 hours. So it's sort of 400 to 500 hours is minimum that one would have to devote, and, uh,
Okay.
and that's about it. So that's how one should pace it up, 3 to 6 months minimum. I mean, if we can give an year,
So
not to it.
yeah, cool. So like that's like 1 to 6 months is what Nikhil is saying. Kuldeep, you would like to take this question?
Yeah, sure, Arjun. So I believe I can answer about the cat a little in a same way, but in a different perspective, because I agree totally with Nikhil as he said that no engineer has edge over doctor in a quantitative part. I believe that's true. So, but what I've seen in majority of the medicos, they don't have maths in plus one and plus two. So for them, yes, it's a little challenging, but for others who have taken plus one and plus two maths, yes, it's not that a difficult challenge. For me, I was not having maths in plus one and plus two, so I had to prepare for quant a little bit more. So for me, it took the journey was approximately you can say 7 to 9 months of preparation. So and quantitative part took time, and then
Yeah,
logical reasoning is it came intuitively to me. So I did practice CAT
sure.
kind of question, and verbal was, I believe, here I would say Yes, I believe verbal because majority of the medicos have read a lot, so verbal was okay for me. Yes.
Sure.
So yes, and
Okay.
if you want to dive deeper into the preparation part, I believe you can go to the Quora answers that
Yeah.
I've written in my profile. Yes. So I believe you can dive deeper there. Yes.
Yeah. So thanks, Kuldeep. Now, like apart from CAT and GMAT, there are other processes like the interview process. So maybe in the medical school we may not have experienced so much of the interview process. So, Shreya, the question is to you: how did you navigate yourself through those? Do you have some key takeaways for students who are aiming for this about the interview process and
Yeah, so I would say the process in whole, like from giving CAT to getting into a B school, is very exhaustive, I would say. I mean, it takes a long time, and you have to be very patient about it. You have to have that patience. So basically, first you get your marks, and then you keep scrolling the internet, searching for what percentile I would get, and then you get the percentile. Then you have to wait for colleges calls to come around, and then you have to wait for interviews, and you have to get prepare for interviews, give the interviews, and eventually feel again you have to wait, and then you get selected in a college of whatever, and then you convert, or maybe you have that wait list. So basically it's a whole period of six months which keep you engrossed in it. And in
yeah?
medical, I would say we just give the exam, and then there is counseling and we get into a college. So I guess that process is exhaustive, but yeah,
Do you think,
it teaches you a lot. I mean,
okay. So do you think there is a lot of personality assessment? The person you are, they grill you in depth and understand you before selecting you to a college, right? That's what like.
yes, I would say as many interviews I've given, as soon as we say actually that yeah we are totally from a different field, they don't actually grill you much. They just want to know you more. So just be yourself, and yeah. So professors there actually try to just know that why are you gonna. I mean, you have to convince them that why you wanna go for it, and if they are convinced, you know, you'll win the
Sure.
fight. Yeah.
Cool. Cool. Thanks, Shreya. Thanks. Thanks. That's very insightful. Now, the quick question will be one important dilemma that people might have is should I go for a 1 year MBA or a 2 year MBA for a doctor? So, Nikhil, can you quickly let me understand the thought process for that, like 1 year or a 2 year?
Sure. I mean, in the end, it's a person's call. I can just give some pros and cons around it.
Yeah.
So, pro for a 1 year MBA, the most obvious pro is that you save 1 year worth of salary, which you would have lost or you would have gained pre MBA or post MBA, depending on how you look at it as an opportunity cost. So I was in Singapore when I left medicine. So for me, the 1 year of opportunity cost was a big money. In fact, it was more than ISB's fee. So I didn't want to do a 2 year MBA for opportunity cost reason. So second was that I felt care if someone can teach me something in one instead of two, let me see. I
Yeah.
mean, unless they learn less. So that I checked with couple of 1 year grads from ISB and from INSEAD that do you guys feel like a dumb tart in front of a 2 year guy? They were like, no. They also don't know anything. We also don't know anything. So the game seemed quite fair and neutral in terms of not learning anything across the board.
Sure.
So I thought then, yeah, if you're not going to learn anything, then let's not learn anything in 1 year and in two. So I mean, jokes apart, for me, the biggest reason was opportunity cost. I mean, my pre was higher than post, but in whichever way I do the math, for me, I wanted to just keep it. And actually, I feel academically there isn't a big difference.
Okay.
Whatever you could learn, and anyway, most MBA learning comes post MBA. Like I have read my books thrice since I have left college, because that's when you really start understanding what the hell this guy was saying. That OD, organization design as a construct in MBA, seems so gassy and so unreal and so kill me now sort of a subject. But as you grow a little more in your life, you realize that OD is perhaps the most powerful subject you can ever learn. Is how to
Sure.
design the organization, KPIs, scorecards, and then God knows and all those things. So anyway, you will learn after MBA more than what you will learn in the MBA. MBA is a gateway to a learning portal.
Sure.
So one or two for me, it's neutral.
Sure. So thanks, Nikhil. Pura, quickly, so what are your thought process for a 2-year MBA? Like in a one-liner, can you maybe quickly?
Um, so I think, like Nikhil said, there are pros and cons, but it really depends also on what life stage you are. So, for instance, I went in as a fresher, and I was slow to the new cultural shock and adapting to it. Right? I mean, it took me 1 year to even know कि ये game चल क्या रहा है. So 2 years helped because if my placements came in 1 year, I don't think I would have landed a good opportunity. So it really depends on your life stage, and if you have the time and luxury, it helps. If you don't have that,
Yeah.
and then you can accelerate. So
Sure.
I think depends really on
Thanks,
a
Pura.
person to
Very
person.
insightful. Coming to the next, so we have finished the first milestone. The next milestone is, how is the MBA life? Like, what happens inside these campuses? Does medicos really face some challenge, or like it's really the same for everyone? So Kuldeep, during your MBA days, did you find any of the program difficult, or maybe uh, did you actually feel lost or something?
Yes. So lost, I would say no. But yes, it is challenging. Difficult, I would say no. Yes, challenging, yes, true. Because there are multiple events that are happening in B school, not only academics, placements, corporate events, and we have to attend all of these, and we have to manage our academics along with that. We have to do the assignments according to the professors. Professor will have those assignment deadline in the morning, and it's a pretty tight schedule under which we have to manage all these things. So I believe this is what the B school is all about: learning how to manage and juggling all these things in a single hand, and then managing all these things is what B school teaches us. I believe this is why B school is there. I think it is not for theoretical understanding. So and yes, as you said, did you face any challenge? Yes, the challenges were that uh, people there who come there have understanding beforehand. Some people have, and at that particular time you have to give in more time. Like as a medico, you have to give in more time to subjects like finance, research. These kind of subjects you have to give in time, because these will take time to understand. As a medico, you don't have any inclination, or maybe you have never been into these kind of subjects. So probably these are the challenges. Otherwise, during placement, there is no challenge as such. It is equal opportunity for medicos and engineers. So yes, Arjun.
So quickly, one experience, maybe I can just ask Raya. I mean, you are also experiencing an online mode of MBA education. So, I mean, the complete remote. So, how is your experience now?
Yeah, so I just joined. I mean, it's been 2 weeks or 3 weeks maybe that our classes have started, and now only it's very hectic. So my batchmates are, already are used to Google Calendar and all those stuff, aligning all the things and remembering everything, going on the links and checking emails regularly. I'm not used to all that, right? So basically, I miss deadlines few times, but yeah, if you, keep updating yourself with the WhatsApp groups, you eventually get. But
I
yeah,
didn't
so
even have a proper email ID that time.
I might tear up listening to Shreya's probably.
Yeah.
so yeah, rest are always very happening. Like it's very good. I mean, it's a really humbling experience, and yeah, it's very good, I would say.
Thanks, Raya. But I can guarantee you one thing: it is even more exciting if you are like once the camp starts, right? It's much more exciting and fun. Yeah. Now,
Yeah.
yeah. So, Kuldeep, the question to you can be like, uh, did you do something like how can a medico enrich your kind of their management education? Should they focus on something like projects, internships, or so these items?
Yes, they should. They should focus on competitive examination. Competitive. These are case studies that happens in B school. These are very good to have on your CV if you have done some case study competition, and especially if you have won it. And second, if you are into some live project, that is also helpful. So in B school, these are opportunities you'll get a lot. So get into these kind of case study competition and live projects. So these will help not only broadening your understanding perspective, but also to help you get a good shortlist during the placement time. So these are the things. And additionally, we have other certification that we can do to enrich our CV and to enrich our understanding. These certification can be like, there are different certification for finance, different for consulting. So let's just say I want to give example for finance. So finance, you can do the certification like flip. There are fundamental for finance, flip is there, and then we can go for CFI, corporate financial institution has many certifications, so you can go for that. And for finance, you can also go for other certification related to which are available on NSE website. So you can go for those. And for consulting, if you are targeting consulting companies, then you can obviously go for like consulting. For consulting, there are not specific courses, but yes, there is a consulting certification related to operation and strategy, which you can do to enrich your CV.
So thanks, Kuldeep. I understand that overall experience of your competition, certification, internship projects all give you that. I mean, you are put into the streamline of management, as I understand, right?
True.
Yeah. So yes, now I'll come to the next milestone. Once your MBA life is going to end, the next biggest thing is your placements, right? Because that is something that any student who joins usually look forward to. Let's just look at placement preparations, the verticals or companies which a doctor MBA should focus, or how to go about this. So maybe Purav, can you just throw some lights on this?
Sure, Arjun. So, Arjun, placement, like we said, right? In hindsight, like later, we think that wasn't a big deal. It was one of the many milestones, but at that time, placement is the significant milestone. It is the highlight of your career. And I personally had good and bad both experiences. So I kept getting shortlisted every day for a month, but did not get placed till the end of my summers. And then in finals, I could get through in the first company that came, which I had listed as my dream company. What I can see is a few things. Preparing for placements is something which is very new to doctors. We never go for job interviews. We never thoroughly prepare resumes. It's something which we are not tuned to. So what I would suggest is interact more with seniors, interact more with your peers. For doctors, it's usually they've done a lot, they know a lot, but they do not know how to represent it in a business-like format. So, for instance, I had worked for a month on a pulse polio immunization program, organized a booth of 60 people. And from a management perspective, that would have been a fantastic experience. But I did not know how to portray it in my summer placements. I did not even write it. Um, by the time it came to final placements, I learned that this is something where I can show my management skills. I can show that I did something. And also, very important, tactical, but very important, I started collecting all these certificates, all the paperwork, so that I can show it during my placements.
Sure.
So that's one part. Second part is how do you stand out, right? So as a doctor, you will always stand out anyways. You are different. You have a different profile. What is key is to give the recruiter enough confidence that you can blend in as well. So I had medical knowledge. They knew that. But will I be good on maths? Will I be good on team skills? Will I be good on communication? If you can start showing those items through your resume in some way and prepare for it, then you would usually do well. Also, medical community within management is small. So during my time, I know I used to reach out to Shweta frequently, some other seniors frequently, interact with them. This is a new concept for Medicos, but others have solved it before. So if you interact with enough people, it's not rocket science at all.
Sure. So thanks a lot, Pura. I think you gave enough knowledge also on a resume building process as well. Like so, thanks for that. Now, Shweta, can you just highlight like some placement preparations when you're preparing for a consulting company? Uh, yeah.
I think Kuldeep mentioned that before, which is case studies.
Yeah.
So if you do want to, so if you want to crack a consulting firm, or if that is where you want to put in the first few years of your post MBA life, it's important that you get into a case study mode. Every single consulting firm will
Yeah.
have a case study
Okay.
round, more than one often. And eventually at the end of the day, all they're looking for is a certain amount of logic in your thinking, and all the case studies do is that they train you in that kind of logical thinking so that you can express how you have broken down a vague problem. Now, having a background in medicine or being doctors, inevitably they
Yeah.
already, you've already got those skills. They can already think through a challenge. They you can work through a puzzle. So that bit comes very easily. The only thing you need to know is how to present on that. So a case study prep, I would say, is fundamental, and you can do it with a few people. So if you've got like 2 or 3 friends, maybe sit down with them, run through a few
Yeah.
cases. It doesn't have to be very formal. It just trains your mind to be able to answer just the interview. Because as Purav mentioned, you've not always given too many interviews. You may or may not have given.
Sure.
So it's just
Thanks a
getting
lot,
into that
Shweta.
groove.
Now, see, another important vertical that we all see in placements is, especially who are interested in doctors, are life science vertical like pharma and device companies. So, Nikhil, can you just put some lights on like how we can prepare for a pharma or a device company's kind of strategy role or marketing role, or yeah?
I mean, I fundamentally believe very differently about placement. I'm in the camp that if you know what you're talking, if you can present the structured thought, if you can think, if you don't jump into anecdotal answers, if you uh, if you can solve a problem statement, more or less all preparations across the board are similarish. I don't think, I mean, I personally don't know of many people who have said that in B school placements, domain was one thing that people really tested on. In B school placement, I mean, nobody comes in thinking, I want a marketing genius. I mean, do you have basic sense about marketing? Do you know just basic value chains? Do you know what is 4 P's? What is positioning? What is segmentation? What is targeting? So no one is coming in thinking of hiring a genius in their domains because they know they're gonna train you on that domain.
Yeah.
So whether it's consulting, whether it's marketing, whether it's life sciences, all these fields go through similarish sort of a prep cycle. Domain is something that yes, it doesn't hurt to know more about it if you have a very niche specific domain like the life sciences, pharma. Like Purav said, it never hurts to speak more to those people who are in that. There will be some seniors who will be in that.
Sure.
So domain is something that you can build via talking to people and some internet research. But at the core, it doesn't matter whether you want a consulting job, finance job. You've got to be structured in your thought process. You got to be a
Sure.
good problem solver, and you got to present that right. And if all of this is there, that's enough.
So, Nikhil, thanks for that. Like, I recently got a chance to go through your LinkedIn page, and I mean, there was a problem where you were doing some coding, for some automatic reply to your LinkedIn connects and all. So, I understand that there is a concern among doctors who are into MBA now that if they get into non-healthcare jobs, will they again be able to get into healthcare profiles? So how do you? So how do I mean this particularly came by students who are now getting into now in their MBA part, their first year part. So can you throw some light? Like, will they be if they get placed in the non-healthcare? Can they again go back to healthcare? And how is it like?
Sure. It depends on when you feel like going back to healthcare. Like, if you technically, I think it's possible at all times of a career.
Sure.
But if you really think about it, early phase of a career is about technical skills. and as we sort of graduate into mid and late, technical skills are really the least important ones. It's about leadership.
Yeah.
Can you lead people? Can you lead an organization? Can you lead a function? Do you understand org designs? Do you understand, uh, SOPs, processes? Can you smell things like what is gonna burst tomorrow? Can you like sort of understand? So so after a while, it's quite sector agnostic as far as I understand. Like we've hired leaders. My CFO was a fund manager before. We also hire senior leaders who are not really from the same domain that we are in today. I mean, and that is non-healthcare. I mean, that is non-healthcare, and that also we have non-domain people for the most part. Because at senior level, it's about leadership, which really matters.
Yeah.
At early level, there is some point of technicality and all. So if you switch within, let's say, 2 to 3 years, then yeah, by design, nobody's gonna accuse you of forgetting medicine.
Yeah.
And if you take 5, 7, 8 years, then nobody's gonna even care about your medicine. At that point of time, you got to be a great leader. And if you're not, after 10 years of your life, whether you're a doctor or non-doctor, you're anyway gonna have a crawling career after that. So yes, answer is yes for different reasons at different stages of career.
Thanks, Nikhil. That's a lot of experience speaking here. Thank you. Kuldeep, I can just ask you maybe quickly about, healthcare IT consulting also takes a lot of MBBS doctors. So how was your preparation? How was your experience like quickly?
Yes, Arjun. So for me, what I realized during my business school is that all of the healthcare is going toward the technological part, and every innovation that is happening in the healthcare is towards the technical part. So I thought, why not to understand and dive deeper into technology part of healthcare. So that is what made me inclined toward the IT part of the consulting. So, and then later on during my placement, I got into Cognizant,
Obvious.
and Cognizant gave me an opportunity to dive into like multiple projects, different projects which are into consulting, strategy consulting, IT consulting. So what I believe consulting, to make our audience understand that consulting, for consulting medicos, for them it is like consulting doctor. So consulting doctor is for patients. Here in management, the consultant is who is consulting the clients in the sense the business party. What we are doing here is to solve their problem, be it their profit problem, be their market share problem. And how we are doing it is we are getting a huge amount of data from different sources, and then bringing insights, that to actionable insights, so that we can help the client uh, come over that particular problem. And it is the most interesting part of the consulting, where we have opportunity to interact with the client directly, to
Yeah.
higher management. That's what make me inclined toward the IT healthcare consulting. And healthcare IT consulting gives you opportunity to reform the healthcare in a whole, and you can say the IT part will help you in not only the IT, but when we say IT meaning artificial intelligence, machine learning, and these things are now coming into healthcare, and moving the shift from a service-based healthcare to a value-based healthcare.
Yeah.
That shift is happening, and that shift is coming to India as well. As of now, it is in US, UK, Germany, and all the foreign countries. It's coming to India. So that's why I think healthcare consulting, that too in IT, has a different advantage.
So thanks, look, very insightful. Now, like once like the placements are done, now it's all about the domain expertise, which is your basically your experience in this vertical. So one thing that people always wonder after your MBA is what are these doctor MBAs going to do in these companies? What is their early career plan like? What is their mid career plan like? What is their advanced career plan like? Right. So we have Shweta with us who will take us through the entire, the healthcare consulting and healthcare technology because she has worked tremendously and extensively in these areas. So Shweta, over to you. How was your experience in healthcare consulting and healthcare technology? What all do doctors do there? What's your work like?
All right. So, well, within consulting itself, so I'm sure you know that within consulting, one of the aims to do is to get to be partner level. But for doctors itself, I think it's a very interesting area where you can make an impact systemically or systematically. And you can work across healthcare and life sciences domains. So personally, I have worked with medical device firms, with pharma companies, with hospitals, with governments, with NGOs. And when I say NGOs, this includes even multilateral organizations from the UN to the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. So you can work within healthcare across all kinds of organizations. So that's in terms of the kind of clients you will work with. Now, in terms of the kind of work you do, it can be all kinds of consulting work: strategic, operational, supply chain, whatever takes your fancy. So in a way, I do think so. I mean, I think most of the people on the panel here, you will see they have spent a couple of years in a consulting environment, because I think for doctors with the kind of skill set they bring, consulting allows them to interact with clients. It allows them to problem solve. It allows them to provide solutions. So it's a really nice and a good fit in terms of healthcare consulting. Your path will be, you move up the ranks, you get to partner, and then it's really about impacting the organizations that you are working with or for. So I think really healthcare consulting per se gives you an opportunity to work across the board, across solving all kinds of challenges. But so are you asking me for what exactly, so what's the end game? Because the end game is yeah.
No, we got a fair idea actually. Just so I understand that you are now seeing that most of these global organizations or other smaller firms have their own healthcare challenges, which you as a doctor MBA is able to understand and solve, right? Like maybe the clinical processes, because I understand that now you are extensively into transformations of hospitals, operation alignment. So all these, like, how does your doctor or a medical degree help or add value here? And I also understand that you have experience in public health. So
Yes.
how that also as a domain, plays together with all this.
Yeah. I think so. I think what you're also asking is in terms of what are the opportunities really for doctors who come into management or via consulting or whatever the avenue. So right now, so just to give you an example, I was working with the Gates Foundation, and we were trying to understand why medicines don't reach villages in states like UP and Bihar. Now we did that with focusing on the RMNCHA program, so the maternal and neonatal healthcare, and that's where something that I brought in some of my clinical knowledge, and then a little bit of business acumen. So we were trying to figure out, can we help the government bodies estimate which medicines they require, what time of the year, how should it reach, what should their supply chain be like. So there is a lot of opportunity to bring in your clinical understanding and to bring in a little bit of business intelligence to be able to solve problems for firms, for governments, for all kinds of organizations, really, because we have big questions right now in the world, and you do need a little bit of domain expertise. So yes, like I think Nikhil mentioned, after a certain point in your career, there is a certain amount of technical experience that you have, which is great. It's going to then transform into how can you lead and solve challenges that different domains or different parts of the world are facing. So healthcare consulting itself gives you that opportunity. With a medicine background, you can choose which of those questions, hopefully, you can solve. Right now, where I'm working in theatre efficiency in the NHS. So I'm sure you know the NHS, being a public healthcare system, is severely strained. They've got all kinds of constraints in terms of how much money can go into the system, and the fact that the output should still be very efficient. So we are using a little bit of machine learning to predict how efficiently they should be scheduling their theatres, even how efficiently they should be scheduling their outpatients. So I think the possibilities are really, really big to come in with a medicine background, because you will understand the challenges that a healthcare system faces far more than someone who may or may not have that background.
So thanks, Shweta. That's very encouraging actually for doctors. Now, I mean, Nikhil hasn't got directly worked with sales or marketing in pharma devices, but still, Nikhil, can you just let me take this as a topic? like there is a lot of doctor MBAs, who are going to traditional or mainstream pharma companies, and many a times they get absorbed in sales and marketing and strategy related verticals. So you might have friends also working here. So can you throw some lights on this?
Uh, yep. So I think in the early part, you certainly have an edge in devices or other kind of sales and marketing roles in medicine, because the language, the connect that you can build with your um, customer, which is the doctor, can be phenomenally high. Yeah, I mean, again, I mean, if you're obnoxious, no one can help you. But I'm just comparing apple to apple. Apple to apple, two people one who has a medical degree and one who doesn't. The one with medical degree has a very high chance of connecting well. So as far as I have known and seen my friends, they've done pretty well in those roles.
Okay.
And this is one area where it is actually a little bit of unfair edge, because when it comes to you being a doctor and then you're trying to sell, and sale is all about human beings.
Yeah.
So sale does not really. I mean, one believes that it is a logical decision to buy anything, but as Daniel Kahneman said, it's mostly system one, emotional responses. So you certainly have a strong edge over others in terms of sort of getting to them. Like I'm sure Shweta can back me up. Like in her projects, like she would go, and when she would start talking with them in their language, they will sort of tally up much faster than if somebody just goes and speaks only business language. Because when you
Yes.
understand them, when you understand their concerns, their problems, their pains, and you know really what is hurting them because you've
Yeah.
been there. You've sort of been there, even for a short while. It doesn't matter. People with 2 3 years experience, 1 year experience, at least you were grown and sort of groomed in that environment. So you've
Sure.
been there. You can talk to them. So in sales and marketing, in fact, even in consulting, if you're doing especially large healthcare hospital systems consulting, there also it'll get you speed in your projects will be much faster than a non-doctor guy, because you will have lesser resistance across the board. And for a consultant, resistance is a pain point that he or she wants to solve at a very aggressive rate. So yeah, it helps, especially in this role. It certainly helps.
Sure. Thanks, Nikhil. So I think our scientific knowledge or understanding of the subject helps us a lot. Is what
No, I
yeah.
said people.
People.
Subject doesn't.
Subject. Okay.
Subject doesn't. No, if you're thinking you're going to quote anatomy somewhere, no.
No. Got it.
Just
I
the
understood.
fact that you know what that guy has been through, what he thinks, what he likes, how much pain he's gone through. He is still worried about कि बाल निकल गए पैसा नहीं आया. How do you know? How do you talk to that guy? If you can, if you understand that guy, everything rest of the pieces become much easier. So subject knowledge is not a big deal. I don't think subject knowledge carries you much. Even if you were topper of your final prof, there is no guarantee you will be a great post MBA person. But if you are a good personality, if you understand people, then you can add this domain knowledge. And in the healthcare vertical or healthcare piece, you have a very strong edge over others.
Thanks, Nikhil. Nice. Now, Purav, I will come to the interesting part of this. Like, we have entrepreneurs here. So, entrepreneurship in healthcare as a long-term vertical. Like, I mean, so I understand that Purav has been working with startups as well, right? And startups. Also, I'll just put like Purav has already invested, and he's also advising many startups in various healthcare related businesses, and he himself is running his own healthcare tech company. So Purav, can you just enlighten us on something on entrepreneurship in healthcare?
Sure, Arjun. So I would say like very basic thing is doctors are generally all doctors are born entrepreneurs or trained entrepreneurs, right? Everybody runs their practice, a clinic, from one small clinic to a large hospital, and it's something which I believe comes more naturally to doctors in general as compared to engineers or any other professions. Now, when you have done an MBA, you again gain the next level of advantage because you have learned some of those technical subjects on how to learn a business. Though you only realize that in hindsight, like what Nikhil said, that not during the 2 years, but now you go back to your books to learn about org design or finance or many other pieces. But then MBA gives you an additional advantage. And then what is happening is the field itself is changing. So there are a lot of standard ways in which healthcare business was done. That every pharma company was about having a patented product or having a strong sales team. Every hospital was about having a good brand of doctors and good infrastructure in a good locality. Now that is fundamentally changing. Technology is coming in, it's aggregating doctors, it's aggregating demand, information asymmetry is disappearing. What it does for doctors is also it creates a new opportunity. There is plenty of opportunity to start on your own. Everybody would have a different scale, but at the same time, within healthcare, there are so many problems to be solved that this is a great time for entrepreneurship. One thing I would also like to address here is around technology. So, when doctors think about starting their business, there is a lot of hesitation in terms of uh, not knowing technology. And it happened to me. When I started Converge Health within Deloitte, I had two handicaps, right? First, doctor. Then on top of it, somebody from strategy only knows how to make slides. And there was always this hesitation that how will we ever make a product? But um, as a if you just go through those topics, if you come over your mental barriers, which eventually I did because I was forced into this technical discussions, and then one day I realized that yeah, the teen dabbe hai. There is a back end, there is a middleware, and there is a front end. That is what all technology boils down to. And you apply yourself enough, you will very quickly know enough to be dangerous, and then you don't need to code everything yourself. Then you will get enough help because you are asking enough questions. You are taking enough interest and you have overcome your barrier. So I think to answer your question in two parts, entrepreneurship comes naturally to doctors. Doctors do better as compared to other professionals. Um, also, today, in terms of where the market is, there is extreme amount of opportunity. So it's a great time to be for all medicos who are entering management.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Purav. Very exciting. Nikhil, you're there? Yeah. So, yeah. Yeah, Nikhil.
I'm here.
Nikhil, I want you to discuss two things actually to you. One is on like starting your own company in a non-healthcare sector, being a doctor MBA. The second thing I wanted you to address is being an employee in a healthcare related startup, right? So e-pharmacy or like telemedicine and all that. So can you address both these? Like first, let's start with non-healthcare entrepreneurship. Yeah.
Sure. My journey started through the zone of healthcare. So we started a healthcare IT tech company. We did well actually. We were quite profitable in a 3 months time itself. We were minting a lot of money, but for some ethical reasons on my ethic and some other hospital which we were selling this software to, we couldn't gel on that. So we started something else. Then we went to education. In education we failed. We just couldn't get a right product market fit, and then we came to housing or living ecosystem. So, but fundamentally, what I have realized is that being the healthcare as a domain can give you that early edge, in the sense that if you are starting something in healthcare, you will reach a product market fit faster, or your probability of reaching product market fit is much higher. And for people who are probably either doctors today and they might not know what this lingo product market fit is, in simple language, something that the world wants to buy. And it's not your own imagination that, oh, I have created something great. So if you're a doctor in healthcare, MBA doctor in healthcare, it's very likely that you will find a product which the world wants. In non healthcare pieces, you might have to go through one or two iterations. Like in our case, we had to go through a couple of iterations. But subsequently, once you've found your product market fit, scaling a business is a very, very different skill set. It's got nothing to do with medicine. It's got nothing to do with engineering. It's got nothing to do with MBA. It's got nothing to do. Scaling a business to a larger front is a very different monster altogether. And for that, you can only practice via throwing yourself into such kind of challenges like Purav had thrown himself in starting Converge Health. Because you will always have choices in life to take some easy ones and to take some tough ones. So if you do take some tough ones in life before getting to that situation, then hopefully you'll be able to scale an organization. Because it's a bad thing. I mean, so we've tried, we've believed every time that we've done it, but every 500 people you add more in the company, it breaks. So every 500 people more you add in the company, it breaks. Anyway, so that's about the
not healthcare. Now the question could be like,
pharmacy or
yeah, the startups, working in a startup, like
yep.
rather.
So working in startup, whether you are an MBA or not doesn't matter, or whether you are a healthcare MBA or not doesn't matter. How much you own stuff, how much you deliver, how much passion you have, and how much structured or how dedicated you are, that all matters. And regarding e-pharmacy, etc., yeah, there is all, as I think I've maintained a very consistent stand. You have a slight edge in healthcare, but that's about it.
Okay.
Don't. It's neither a disadvantage nor a very big advantage.
Yeah,
So,
got it.
and just live with that fact, and make sure you do the right things as you go your career.
Sure. Thanks, Nikhil, for being very honest there. And now I'll come to the milestone 5. That is more about be future ready. Just this topic is more added in such a way that because COVID has shown us that healthcare and tech is leading from the front, right? And there is like a lot of major shifts happening around businesses. So, like Purav, can you throw some lights on both the healthcare and tech front? Yeah, in this COVID era or something.
Sure, Arjun. So COVID has made something very interesting for all of us. What COVID did is everything has now become digital. Zoom meetings and webinars are the new norm of life. What it does is two things. One is it's taken like proximity and access as a barrier away. So now everybody is just one phone call away, one video call away. So what it does is the owners to do a lot of things changes differently. Your opportunities change. Secondly, because of all this, the entire digital uh, way of engagement is becoming very, very relevant. So in the past, it was okay for medicos or management people to say that they are not good with video chats. They can only do phone calls. They only meet in person. They don't understand technology. They don't want to worry about building applications. So people are kind of forced to get out of that entire comfort zone. And what it means is those who are quick to learn onto this trend, they will kind of progress very well in this future world. Very important for doctors also, because a lot of doctors, though not the new generation as much, but still lot of doctors come with inertia around adopting to the digital world. And in this post-COVID world, it becomes kind of very important that you be flexible, you take enough curiosity and interest in technology and where the digital world is going.
Sure. So thanks a lot, Purav. That really sums up a lot about healthcare tech as well. Now, Shweta, this will be the last question of the panel discussion. So, I wanted to ask you, like, so how can we stay relevant for the long term? Like, is there something beyond an MBA that somebody should be doing? Maybe can you just throw some lights on certification courses or on healthcare tech or all this stuff, right? Something.
I
How can
think
we stay more relevant after an MBA, like, or on the long term front?
I think everyone's journey is a bit different, Arjun, as this panel itself shows. Um, but so if you're staying within the healthcare space, I think there's different pockets that are probably going to grow. So Pura will talk about healthcare analytics. There are courses that you can do in healthcare analytics. I've done something on bioinformatics. Besides that, I think there are smaller modules that a lot of universities offer. And I think again in post-COVID situation, all the more. They're all really quite keen on offering different kinds of courses that you can take, whether you take them as certification courses, but things from like health policy that you could do from maybe from London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine. Cornell offers something in health leadership, which might be useful to someone like Nikhil or Kuldeep. So, I think mid-career or even, somewhere where you've begun a few years in, it is definitely useful to add a bit more to your, skill mix, because going forward, I think everyone's agreed that there will be a lot of digital and tech coming in health. It's unstoppable. Post COVID, it's completely unstoppable. So there's definitely use in doing a little bit more, knowing a little bit more about healthcare analytics, knowing a little bit more, maybe even about health policy. The way I see it, every single firm wants to have their own in-house health policy, because suddenly COVID hit them and they weren't prepared. But they now recognize that going forward, there could be more versions of COVID coming forward. So between health policy, between health tech, there are a lot of universities, both in the US and in Europe, or even in India, that offer small courses that you could do, that you could add to your skill set. And it's a function of where you are in your career. It's a function of how much you want to pay at that point for that skill set. But I think with medicine and management, there's just a bunch of courses that are now going out. I think I mentioned, so I did one in Oxford, which was in healthcare and leadership. But there's many, Stanford, Cornell. So probably make the right judicious choice after going through the course material. Yeah.
Thanks, Shweta. Purav, you want to add something?
Sure, Arjun. Arjun, I just wanted to add a little bit on top of this.
Yeah.
Can you hear me okay now?
Yeah.
So I just wanted to add a generic statement on top of it. So the real learning actually does not, many people believe that it ends when you do your MBA and then you are all set for your career. But what I've experienced, and one of my mentors told me, is that actually that is when the real learning starts. So right, your career typically would be in 3 different phases. The first would be technical learning. So learning your job and also everything around it, whether it is finance, HR, or design, accounting, legal, regulatory, etc., so that you know enough to be broad. Then the second phase is around networking. So again, learning how to network and expand your scope. And then the third phase is leadership. Again, either formal or informal learning plays a role. So if you go through these 3 phases, the technical, the network phase, and the leadership phase, at each stage you need some learning, either in form of formal courses or in form of informal mentorship. So that's something which I would encourage all the medicos to take on.
Sure. So, Purav, we also have an interesting question. Now, when it comes to doctors or healthcare professionals, do you think they will be interested in something like an exclusive healthcare related subject learning on management? Like maybe we don't go to the entire extent of all subjects and all management principles, but something which is exclusively crafted for healthcare doctors. In if we attempt to make something like that, what all you think will be a relevant thing? Like what could be the design of such things? Something of a healthcare related. What is the most important for these for such flows, right?
I think Arjun, the question, the answer would depend on
anyone can answer. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Since I started,
I'll
finish and then let others. So the idea of such a course would definitely be a good one, depending on the purpose you are trying to solve. So for doctors, like I said, from my personal experience, coming in at management is not an easy and a natural thing. So if there is a course designed for doctors per se, they could maybe adapt to it faster, relate to it faster. So in my opinion, the subjects should still be general around how to manage, but there could be more healthcare examples. It should be designed in a way where they are able to relate it better. That could help. At the same time, I think a lot of what we spoke about is the opportunities are endless. We stop boxing our sales from a healthcare lens. All of us could achieve a lot more impact. So a healthcare focused course could be a good starting point, but should always encourage doctors to take a broad spectrum view of the world.
Yeah, thanks, Purav. Others, anyone to add on this?
Maybe I can add
Yeah.
here, Arjun. In my perspective, what I understand is that it is the peer-to-peer learning that makes more in the B school. So if let's just say we have only medicos, doctors in one particular course, that will only give a perspective of a medico in a course. So maybe the peer-to-peer learning. That's why we go for a full-time MBA, not a MHA. So that's why I think that's I believe everyone has their own perspective.
So
So
thanks, Kuldeep.
yes.
And anyone to add to this topic?
I think thematically maybe a little bit because fundamentally, when they're doing their base undergraduation in medicine, they have no clue about finance. So maybe a little bit of finance, maybe a little bit of health tech, health analytics, so data analytics. I think these are just themes going forward that are going to be very, very important. And Nikhil also mentioned about org design, so which is a dead thing to read when you're doing your MBA, but comes alive when you're out of it. So some of those concepts, I think if you piece those together, there might be something that would be useful, maybe for people from a healthcare background.
Sure, thank you. So Nikhil, anything, or like we can?
No, I still maintain the same thing. Let's not get too focused about
Sure.
healthcare. If you are coming to management, stay true to it. Come with an open mind, and go kick some ass. Doctors are not disadvantaged by any
I'd say they're
stretch.
advantaged in many ways.
In many ways, yeah. In many, you're advantaged, certainly not disadvantaged.
Thank you so much, panel. It has been very exciting discussing with you, and I am sure that we just had a very productive discussion. Of course, the special breed that we are, Dr. MBAs, we definitely add a lot of value and a lot of relevance to what we are doing. We have just understood that from all the discussion here. Let's do a great job. I think. Thank you. Thanks a lot for the insights. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Arjun,
everyone.
for steering it.
Thank you,
Thank
everyone.
you.
Take care.
Thank
Bye.
you.